Every hour that you spend on the wrong YouTube strategy is just time that you're never going to get back. So you're probably spending hours and hours into work that will never actually reach an audience, like while skipping the very few things that actually move the needle. So I'm ranking my version of only the best advice that I use to get 2 outlier videos in my first 16 uploads that reached my exact target audience. See, I don't have time to be a full-time creator yet, so I run 2 other businesses. This is my first time on YouTube. I've never recorded myself. I've never edited myself, but I use my engineering and business background to optimize the process and cut out all of the guru nonsense they like to tell you. So I want to show you what actually works when your time is limited. Look, we have to start with an S tier, which is going to act like an anchor for every other tier on this board. But let's be honest, like YouTube is hard. If it were easy, the journey would be boring. So when you first sign up to start a channel and you publish those first videos, it challenges every part of being a human being. Like it's the exact same feeling that I got when I started my businesses many years ago. So that moment where you think, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Like we want our work to matter. And sometimes when we get no feedback, no recognition, it gets hard to keep going when things aren't working out. But the thing is, if our drive depends on that view count, we have very little control once we cross that line. The reality is that you have to shift to motivation from within. The real winner isn't the person with the highest views or the person who looks the best. It's the person who is willing to keep taking risks and then acts with some degree of faith and then faces the consequences, whether they're good or whether they're bad. The real winner has the courage to keep going anyway. That is exactly why mindset is S tier. Because if our mindset isn't right, none of the other tiers on this board are going to matter, especially the one that explains why my old videos never got traction. So we've all heard the advice, you just got to press record. But let's be honest here, like it's just a marketing phrase. Like starting is admirable, but it's outdated advice. Pressing record doesn't mean that you're going to make a good video. So I see 90% of new creators mistake being busy for being productive. So they flood the feed with 3 videos a week. They're cutting corners on their scripts. They're rambling because they have no script. I mean, I refuse to fall into that cycle. And I realize that we need repetition for the opportunity to get better, but that's not what's happening here. I mean, your audience knows when you're just hitting a deadline. I mean, quality means that your seed audience loves the video so much that a broader audience wants it too. If they watch to the end, like you've struck a real pain point. You finally figured out how to get through to them. So that is why quality over quantity is A tier. But I know slowing down feels impossible when you have a full-time job, or maybe you run your own businesses and you have a family too. So you feel like if you just stop for 1 second that the algorithm will punish you. I mean, I almost fell for this Tuesday at 10 a.m. lie too. So when you have a busy schedule to begin with, like a strict YouTube deadline is definitely a nightmare. So I remember rushing an edit on a Monday night just to hit up a made-up deadline that I set for myself. So I uploaded it on time, and nobody watched it though. Well, I think 130 people watched it. So the deadline didn't save me. So contrast that with my most recent video, which I posted randomly on a Wednesday after being 2 days late. So I knew the algorithm wouldn't care about my delay, which means a consistent, perfect schedule matters way less than the product. If the video's good, nobody cares if it's late. But if the video's bad, then nobody cares that it's on time. So that is why consistent upload schedule is B tier. So getting hung up on a due date is just a massive distraction. As soon as you start sacrificing quality just to check a box, like you're already on your way to burnout. The reality is that if you produce even a technically perfect video and then you upload it at the exact right time, people still won't watch it because there's a specific energy that you cannot fix within the editing. So a couple of days ago, I clicked on a high production tutorial. The lighting was perfect and the audio was even better than the mic that I have here. So I would say this guy probably had a $100,000 studio, but then I clicked off in 10 seconds or less. Why? Because the guy looked dead behind the eyes. Like he looked like he was reading a script and it didn't even feel like he was doing it naturally. It felt like he was being held hostage by somebody to speak the words. I mean, it didn't feel like even a real conversation. I realized that my own videos also had that same stiff robotic energy because I was trying so hard to be professional that I forgot to be human. So that is probably the number one reason why people click off our videos. Like right next to the one that explains why my old videos never got traction. So ultimately, you realize that the audience has a sixth sense for fake. So if we aren't genuinely obsessed with the problem that we're solving in the video, like they can feel it, right? And if we don't care enough to come across as connecting with the audience, then why should they? That is exactly why passion is S tier. It is the human variable that makes people stay on our videos. Passion actually has a ceiling though. We can be the most passionate creators in the world, but we will still fail if we treat the most important part of the video as an afterthought. So imagine you're driving through the middle of nowhere and you're starving and you see a rusted gas station with a handwritten sign that says world's best sushi. Like you aren't stopping. I don't care if it's actually the best meal on the planet. Like the packaging told you that it was food poisoning. I see this tragedy every day. So I found a channel recently with 50 or more incredible videos, I kid you not. The content was spectacular, but every title was something vague like episode 1 or my thoughts. So he was basically talking to himself because he never gave anyone a reason to click on his videos. And I'm not talking about truly valuable or entertaining vlogs, but the viewer cannot know the value of your video until they click, which leads to the realization that for them, your video does not exist until they decide that the thumbnail and the title are worth their time. So you have to design the packaging before you even hit record. If nobody clicks, then the rest of our video is not going to exist and it's going to be just a giant waste of time, and you're going to do another video the same way if you keep leaving your packaging the way it is. So that is why packaging first is A tier. So it is the door that people have to go through to get to your content. And none of that matters if the algorithm does not know who to show your video to. So when you're new on YouTube, you can't just hope that the system guesses right. So when I uploaded my first video, I felt like no one could see me because nobody came to my video. I had 0 views, so I had 0 subscribers, and the algorithm had no data on me. It didn't know exactly what kind of channel I was yet. So I realized that hoping for the algorithm to figure it out was just a bad strategy. So I was invisible because I hadn't told the system who I was. So this is where your SEO and your metadata come in. But the system is smarter than we think. I realized that. YouTube is using Gemini to scan and analyze every word that you say while you talk. So it figures out which clusters of audiences to show your videos to. We're using our titles, our descriptions, and our tags as SEO to confirm what the video is actually about for the viewer. And so that those audiences that see your video, that the packaging actually complements the words that you spoke in your video. See, that's where people get it wrong. We have to give the system every reason to find us. And that is why SEO and metadata are B tier. So even if you get the system to know exactly what your channel is about, it'll still be useless if you do not know what your audience wants. So I spent months making videos that I thought were pretty good quality until I realized that I was fighting with an audience that had already made up its mind about what it wanted to watch. So I used to sit there and guess what the audience wanted to watch. I mean, I was guessing based on what I liked or what I thought they would like, not what the market wanted at that time. So I saw a creator recently who made original videos for a year, and he never broke even 50 views on any of his videos. And then right next to him was a channel that had just started last month, and he broke 100,000 views. I mean, the difference, the second guy didn't guess. I mean, he looked at what was already working and then he built on top of it. But guessing is a high-risk gamble. Instead, we need to find specific videos that are already performing 10 times better than a channel's average. So that is the market screaming at us like we want this. So stop trying to invent a brand new game and just look at how the winning players are actually playing. That is why Outliers is A tier. It definitely removes the guesswork. But the problem is that even if you pick the right topic, you will kill your growth if you treat your channel like the one thing that it isn't. I know this is a big ego check here. I see people treating their YouTube channel like it's a personal diary. So they talk about their morning routine or their journey to monetization. They act like they already have a fan base that cares about them. I mean, I made my first video about my first video thinking that people would care. Well, they didn't. I was just talking to an empty room because I had not given them a reason to enter. But a diary does not build an audience. Like instead, we need to go to where the audience is. We need to switch our content right away to the topics that are already dominating the feed and then join the conversation that's already happening. We can earn the right to talk about ourselves after we've provided value to them. So that is why go to where the audience is A tier. And look, getting the audience to click on your video is actually the easy part. The hard part is getting them to stay before you even say your first sentence. So that is the piece that I've been delaying to add to my videos. So that is why my old videos never got traction. And after 30 seconds, 40% of my viewers were gone. So they clicked, they saw that I was lecturing them like a professor, and then they left. I mean, to them, I was basically reading a textbook to a wall. So everything seriously changed when I stopped lecturing and then I started investigating. So I took them on a journey and then I added some twists and turns and I made every part of the information that I was presenting into the story. So keeping the viewer familiar with what is happening, but also keeping them guessing. So I realized that if your story just has a list of facts, you're going to lose. So most creators just say, and then this happened, which is a slow death for your retention. You need to show the struggle, show that you tried something, but it didn't work. So you had to find a new clue. That creates a mystery. If the viewer can predict 100% of the ending, then they're not going to stay until the end. Unless it's a how-to video, but even then, you should keep it spicy. So that is why storytelling is S tier, period. So look at the difference. My video, Why 99% of Channels Never Grow on YouTube, got 18,000 views. My most recent video, Why YouTube's New Algorithm Abandoned Small Creators, got 13,000 views and counting. These weren't lucky. They're the only 2 videos on my channel that hit every single S tier and A tier variable on this list. They had the passion, they had the packaging, they had the storytelling, and then they had the outlier research. And at this point, I'm just the guy in the trenches with you. But even this advice won't help you if you're part of the 99% that the algorithm ignores in this video here.